which I just followed the crowd of class that I graduated, and everybody told me, you must sit for this American exam, you know, you can go to train out there. So I had to go to Pakistan, Lahore. That was the only center to take the exam. And after I passed the exam, they said you must apply for something called a residency matching program, you know, in the USA. So without knowing any substance and details, I applied and I got matched to a hospital in Brooklyn, New York. You know. So, and that's the hospital where Harry was born. Having got my matching seat, I was faced with the challenge of getting a passport. With the bureaucracy and all, it was almost an impossible task to get a passport for a doctor, you know. And after getting that, I had no money. I didn't want to ask my parents for help, so I had to borrow money from a travel agent, promised that I was going to America and make a lot of money and I would repay it back very quickly. So I got the ticket and I landed here in JFK with $20 in my pocket, you know, and not knowing what to expect next, whether if somebody was going to pick me up, and it's a long story. I could write a book about all my, you know, difficulties and challenges and experiences. Anyway, I trained here in a 5-year residency program, and my training was with the Downstate Medical School affiliated hospitals in Brooklyn, and I did some parts of my training right here in Manhattan in New York University in School of Orthotics, Prosthetics. I spent some time at Johns Hopkins doing orthopedic pathology and my pediatric orthopedic training at Albert Einstein Medical School. So during those days, it was pretty easy to stay behind, you know, making an excuse, saying I have a child born here, which I have. So, but for many reasons, I went back, and I was really shocked to find that there was really no place for somebody with surgical skills and training to fit into. So I wound up being jobless, not earning any money, and in the process I realized that being a surgeon, I had to keep myself busy, you know, otherwise I lose the skills that I have, you know, trained. So I was a volunteer surgeon. I used to volunteer at a leprosy hospital, some distance out of Kathmandu, at another mission hospital outside Kathmandu, and I was visiting orphanages and, you know, homes for children. And I was shocked to find that there were many, many children with so many disabilities and orthopedic conditions that were not treated, you know, and they were there because it was not life-threatening. So one way or other, you know, I ended up looking after children from different homes and orphanages, encountering a lot of complex problems that I really had to relearn, because here I had learned a lot of state-of-the-art things, you know, and I had to actually shift gears and look at pathology in a completely different, you know, presentation. So this all actually made me feel very, very depressed at one time. I thought I had made the biggest mistake of my life to return. But at the same time, you know, seeing children with problems, you know, experience after experience tore my heart. You know, I have so many stories of children that presented to me with so many complications, and I would just ask myself, what would I do if this was my child, you know? So I said, at some point in time, that I must get going, you know. So I'll start work simply, and I had the opportunity to lead and develop a hospital which started very, very simply with all donated used equipment, but there has been really no looking back after that, because the hospital became busy, we got more and more patients. I realized that I have to couple up training programs, train people, think about funding resources, developing a definite better facility. So all those challenges came swamping on me, and I was administrator, manager, fundraiser, surgeon, house officer, and I worked 7 days a week, you know, almost on call all the time. I had 3 little children, and my wife there, they almost never saw me. I used to be out of the home by 6 and never back before midnight, and I would get called back at night. I would go there, sleep with the children on the floor, and you know, it was, I'm not complaining, it was just a completely transforming experience for me. And my children used to, sometimes when they saw me, say, take us out, do something for us, you know, all little children. I'd put them in my little jeep and take them to the hospital. became so attached to the hospital that they are just a part of this whole program. So what I do now, we have been able through these decades of work to put our work on a very good pedestal. We run a world-class facility. It's very simple, but we do very, very complicated work. We are recognized for what we do by most of the major centers in America that do pediatric orthopedics. And our work entails providing interventional care, all types of surgery, single, multiple, and we are also diversifying in the subspecialty of orthopedics. We provide follow-up here. Most of the patients that we treat don't have funds to actually pay for a bus trip back to the hospital. So we have realized that if we want our work to succeed, we got to catch them in their home surroundings. So we have had to develop systems of community links, going into the districts, having our own staff trained by us, stationed there who forms the focal point for other activities and cross-linking. So we do about 120 days of outreach field work to just make sure that what we do at the hospital is not lost. Because a lot of pediatric orthopedic work and rehabilitation work requires follow-up care through the growth of the child. So this has been very complex. It's not that I understood all these details. I'm just learning through, making mistakes and, realizing that, medical care